Let us, talking of scraps, not involving bandits or Princess Margaret, Barry McGuigan has also just told his story in an autobiography, Cyclone, just published. He, of course, is the former world featherweight title holder, 3 times over, defended it twice, didn't you?
Yeah, defended it twice, lost my title sadly. It was a fairly ephemeral title reign, unfortunately. I lost my title out in Vegas, but outside in the desert in the middle of June.
Well, the book very much tells the story of you, the fighter from Monaghan, with a dove of peace on your shorts, and campaigning against sectarianism in Ireland. There used to be this slogan, didn't they? They say, leave the fighting to McGuigan.
That's right. It was very important to me. I'm a Catholic and an Irishman, and I fought during the troubled times, and I know that Simon was in Northern Ireland. I don't know whether he was there in the worst the times, but it wasn't a very pleasant place to be during those dark days, and so it was very important to me as a guy from the south, boxing in the north, a Catholic minded Protestant, breaking all the rules. And I mean, I broke all the rules, and I'm sure Simon would know from his intelligence, along the border it wasn't a very safe place. It was a dangerous place.
Well, you grew up near the border, didn't you?
I grew up in Clones as my hometown, and I lived just outside. In fact, there were 2 army camps just across at Lackey Bridge, and another one towards Maharavili, which is where they were sort of dug in, and it was a scary time, and I used to tramp bandit country. Yeah, I mean, they consider Clones bandit country.
You must have been quite young during the time when the Troubles first kicked off. Do you remember a change? Was there a change in how people were in the community?
Yeah, I think it was early 70s. Early 70s it was dreadful. Then the end of the 70s, they blew up the border roads, and Clones was a little town that was as much, we got as much business in the north as we did in the south, and there were 7 roads going into Clones. 5 of them led to the north, and 2 of them to the south, and so we relied on the north a lot.
Your parents were traders. They were vegetable grocers.
My father was a musician, as I mentioned, like Vince, and my mother had they bought a grocery business which my mother ran with her father, and so we relied on the business, and the town was crucified with the roads being blown up. The roads were blown up, and so therefore you'd have to go through a checkpoint, which meant long, slow delays, because obviously they had to check everything and you go through it. So the town was badly hit by that. So, with that background, and then travelling into the north to box, and there was a lot of terrorism going on, both from loyalists and Republicans along the border and in the north. It was a terrifying time. So
you became quite a symbol. You married a Protestant girl, and you'd have none of the. I
wouldn't wear any colours, and I knew who I was. I knew where I came from. I didn't need to paint it on the side of my head. Everywhere I went, I could see curved stones painted red, white and blue, or green, white and gold. They liked to mark their territory, and it was horrible. And I just thought, I'm going to box under the United Nations flag of peace. My father sang Danny Boy, and it was a unifying song. And when I boxed for the title in Loftus Road, just behind the BBC in 1985, 27,000 people, 12,000 people came over from Ireland. They had to fly jumbo jets into Dublin and Belfast, and we had 20 million people watching on television. That's a remarkable number, and I'm very proud of that.
There has been this terrific and triumphant and positive side of your sport, and I mean, now your boxing academies for disadvantaged boys and so on. But you also deal very honestly in the book with the awful case of young Ali, the Nigerian boxer who you knocked down. He was seriously injured. Indeed, he died. Terrible shock for a young man. You must have been about 21 when that happened.
Yeah, I was 21 years old when it happened.
Did at any stage that make you think again about your very violent sport?
Yeah, it made me. I mean, I think every boxer at the top, particularly, ironically enough, particularly at the top of the tree, we have a love-hate relationship with boxing. There's no doubt about that, and I wasn't any different. But when that happened, and I was only in the embryonic stages of my career, Libby, I had nothing else. I committed my whole life to boxing. My wife was pregnant. In fact, his wife was pregnant, and I had earned no money. I was only beginning, and as I say, only starting to build a career. So I had to make a very serious decision, and I decided I would carry on. And I remember the night that I won the world title, with even refocused and I used it as a positive, thinking that if I win the world title, I think about him. And as you build up to a title fight like that, it's always at the back of your mind, what am I going to say if I get there? Yeah. And the night that I won the world title, and as I said, there was a huge audience listening. Harry Carpenter was through my tears, I was able to tell them that I was dedicating the fight to young Ali, and he was able to clearly articulate that to the audience.
He was in the same boat as you, really. He was a Nigerian boy who
yeah.
had a family to support, and boxing
totally.
was a way he could do it.
Yeah, that's the sad thing about boxing. It only happens very occasionally, but when it does happen, it's very upsetting.
Devastating.
It's devastating, yeah.
I mean, Simon, you'd boxed a bit for intercompany boxing, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, tried.
Are you any good?
No, I didn't last around. Got knocked down.
His nose is too straight, Libby. He's all right. Well, he was either very good at it or very fast on his feet.
You have to be, especially in the featherweights, you have to be unbelievably nimble, don't you? I mean, there's a dancing parallel here.
Yeah.
I've been watching videos of you on YouTube because I know little about boxing as a sport. My God, your feet never stop moving.
You have to be fast on your feet. Balance is everything. Your power and your defence is all on your feet. Everything is about how you deliver and rotate your body weight and biomechanics. It's all from your feet.
And when it goes wrong for you, when you've been knocked down, I mean, you've had various operations on your nose before.
That's right. I wasn't going to ask you to make that public consumption, but nevertheless,
you have taken the punches.
Yeah.
In a curious way, does it help if you've taken hard punches yourself to deliver them? Does it make you feel better about delivering hard punches?
No, I don't think I don't think. It sounds paradoxical and a contradiction in terms. You don't need to be, if you have to make yourself angry to throw punches, or if you have to, that was the point in the book where I talk about, after the young Ali thing, I was fighting a guy called Jimmy Duncan, and it was a final eliminator for the British title, and I had him in desperate trouble, and he was in the corner, and there was a momentary pause because I looked at him and I knew he was in trouble, and I didn't know that I wanted to finish him, and then almost instantaneously he nearly took my head off with a left hook, and it soon brought me to my senses, and I went in and finished him. I soon changed my mind, but you get that one chance, and if you don't take it, chances are you get knocked out yourself. So it's a very tough business, and it's something we train for, and we train very hard for, and boxing saved the life of so many fighters in those troubled times in Belfast, especially kids who were vulnerable for the paramilitary organisations who were susceptible. Yeah. Boxing actually give them structure to their life and save their lives.
Yeah, all the same, I think, Carol, you and I will stay in sort of cat fights in the ladies with Princess Margaret. Probably much better option for us. I'm afraid time is out. That's it for this week. Thanks to Barry McGuigan. His book Cyclone is out.